Hello, good morning, love wrestling. It is Thursday, March 6th, 2025, and we are here this morning for some firmly AEW. We got some dynamite to talk about. We have a giant pay-per-view this Sunday for AEW, Revolution, which for the last couple years, Revolution has been the best show they've put on. Especially last year was heralded as the best wrestling pay-per-view in all the land, Revolution. So very excited to talk about that, dive into a little bit of dynamite and what happened last night as well. But before we do that, Drew, how are we this morning? How's Thursday treating us so far?
It's treating us pretty well. I actually
scene?
just got this shirt today. So let me wear it because this was one of their top. This was last week's Top Rope Tuesday on PWTs. Came very fast. Did not expect it to come that quickly.
We love it.
And I love that. So I want to rep the Hurt Syndicate today. And as usual, my MJF pickle hat, because that's just what I wear every Thursday.
It seems to be. The pickle hat. It's a good one. It's a good hat. I remember when you tried those on air.
Pickle, after all.
Yeah. You tried those on air, did you not? I believe.
I did.
Yeah.
I have some in my fridge right now.
Wait, he still sells them?
Well, just not the MJF version, but just
just like the regular brand version? Got it. I was going to be like, I don't know. Because wasn't MJF's like a spicy pickle or something like that, if I recall? Wasn't it like it wasn't just a regular pickle.
They had two for him. Actually, I have them right in my drawer here. I miss having my display cabinet behind me. The bread and butter chips.
Oh, that's this one. Those are the sweet ones. Yeah, of course.
I'm just better.
Yeah.
And then it was the classic dill.
Oh, all right. I thought there was a spicy one in there. But
this image, there might have been, but I'm not a spicy person.
Yeah.
So this is when taken right from the press conference with him holding the jar of pickles.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
saying this line right here on the hat.
Yeah. That makes sense. Not bad. Not bad.
How are you doing today, JP?
We're doing okay, man. We're doing okay. I'm excited. Thursdays are a big day, always over here at Love Wrestling. And for moi at Love Wrestling, I start the day off chatting some AEW with you. And then later on tonight, 8 p.m., we got Between Two Beards, which is always a great time with me and Pluggo and whoever decides to show up and give us hell and, do what they do. But
the Superstation.
Yeah. But I'm doing good. I think Revolution, at least the match card, is looking very strong for Sunday. I think it's lining up to be another just great pay-per-view on AEW's front. There's, 2 or 3 matches that I am very, very much looking forward to, even though I think the whole card looks strong. Yeah, Johnny, I agree. It was a go-home show, and I expected it. I mean, I thought it was a solid go-home show. There was a lot of good wrestling on the show last night. I don't think anything crazy or seismic happened from a storyline perspective, like no big changes or anything like that. But I thought it was a solid show. I thought it was a very well done go home show of Dynamite to kind of lead us into Sunday and get some more excitement behind the matches. So because it's Revolution, we're going to be jumping around Dynamite today because we're going to be talking about the Revolution card and kind of how all that went. As you see on the thumbnail, I thought, listen, me personally, I am looking forward to MJF and Hangman Adam Page the most. That is the match I am looking forward to the most. Of this, I thought the stuff they did, which we'll talk about next, was incredible last night. But if you're sitting here and you're telling me that you thought the best thing on that show last night was the sit-down interview between Mariah May and Toni Storm, I am not going to argue with you because that was tremendous. It was in the back. It was pre-recorded. It wasn't like it was out in the ring or in front of the crowd or anything like that. But that sit-down at the end of that show or right before the main event of that show between Mariah and Toni Storm was incredible. It was perfect. As has been this story that they've been telling between these two women for 15 months. They've been telling us this story. And it really has not, there has not been a misstep. There has not been a mistake. It has been, you know, very few things in wrestling are kind of perfect, or very few things in wrestling are kind of, you know, I just feel like this has been a very well told story, and I think it's been pretty damn perfect up to this point. I think, and I know you agree with me because we talked about it for a second or two before we came live, and I was lucky enough to hop on the Mark Order pod last night, and we talked about this as well.
Oh.
Well, I went on because yesterday was Ryan's birthday, and our pal Kate had messaged me.
Was?
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
put
know.
they did a tweet out in the middle of the day, like basically saying it was his birthday. So I kind of wished him some happy birthdays and things like that.
Happy
And then
birthday,
Kate sent me the link, and she was like, "Hey, if you want to come on and tell the old man, rag on the old man a little bit, do it." And I said, "Okay." So I came on, I did a quick little, "Hey, happy birthday. You're old. I'm older than you, but today you're the old one, so we're going to make fun of you." But Ryan, I had family plans because it was his birthday. So he popped on only for a little bit, and they played a game of he guessed what happened on the show, and I was there for that. And then he was only there and then he left because he had things to do. And Kate was just like, "Well, you can stay if you want, and we'll talk about the rest of Dynamite." And I was like, okay. I was like, I got nothing to do. Like, it's, if you guys want to do your show, I'll get the hell out of here. And she was like, "No, stay." And I was like, "All right." So I just ended up hanging around on the Mark Order. And we talked about it. Yeah. I think this should be the main event on Sunday. It will not be. It will not be. I assume Copeland and Mox will main event that show on Sunday. But I personally believe that Toni Storm and Mariah May should main event on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think
there
go ahead.
hasn't been a women's main event on a pay-per-view before. And
not yet, right? Yeah, no, they still have yet to do that. They still have yet to do
is
that, right?
This is absolutely. I mean, listen, I won't say that it blows Cope and Mox out of the water, but it's like after last night, while the Moxley promo wasn't awful,
Mhm.
and they look like they're teasing something going on there with him and Yuta.
Yeah.
I'm ready for something else to main event the show.
Yeah.
Besides just Death Riders and other people coming to join potentially what might happen on Revolution of Death Riders, or somebody coming to take down the Death Riders. It's always about the Death Riders for the last 4
Mhm.
months. And,
Oddly enough, though, and we'll talk about the Death Riders later. Oddly enough, I feel like what they've been doing with the Death Riders the last 3 weeks or so is the most interested I've been in the Death Riders in months. That's just I feel like Moxley, his promos have been better these last 2 or 3 weeks. He feels like he has a mission, whereas before I didn't know what the hell they were doing. at all. For months, I felt like, what are we doing with this angle? And now, and I know it's because he has an opponent and he's been focused on an opponent, but like the last 3 weeks, I feel like this has been the most interesting the Death Riders have been in months. And it's like, okay, like what took you so long? A, and B, I'm not falling for it to the point where like I would be okay with Mox retaining on Sunday. Cause like I do think that this story should end. Like the reason why we felt the way we felt about it the last 2 months, that overtakes how I felt about it the last couple weeks, where I've been like, oh, if it was like this the whole time, I feel like everybody would still be into it if they were doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
Even though Copeland's not the guy I want to see like fighting in this match, even though the match he had with Wheeler Yuta last night. But like,
yeah,
like Cope is not the guy I want to see fighting for the title right now in this scenario. But at the same time, like Copeland's been the guy that's actually got me to care about the Death Riders again. So maybe I was wrong this whole time, because I actually care about this match and them as a story now, these last few weeks, more than I have in the last 3 months. So I don't know if I'm just wrong about Copeland, maybe, or maybe I don't know. But
no, I don't think you're wrong. I think the thing is that the story has interwoven through multiple main event talent and even like upper mid card talent to the point that we don't know. Well, there hasn't been a clear. The motivation for the Death Riders has been made clearer in the last 2 months.
Mhm.
So I do think Cope helped with that.
Yeah, big time. And I think the whole thing of taking everybody out has focused Moxley, obviously, more in the story, where he's like, okay, well,
yeah, there's that too, which I think was helpful.
yeah. We got people that just hold on before we continue.
Oh.
We got Scott, Dan Brown, Tom Talks Rubbish. They all
Hey,
popped
guys.
in the chat saying good morning. Good morning, fellas. We literally just started talking about we're actually started talking about Mariah May and Toni Storm, and it's kind of making its way doing the thing that we do.
It's not going to be a very organized show.
No, we got Revolution. We're going to be kind of bouncing all over the place, talking about a little bit of everything. But
yeah, so I still find it's listen, I am particular in my wrestling critique. Many people don't like it, and that's okay.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes this one included.
Wait, doesn't like what?
My critiquing of
I don't care
wrestling.
that you critique. I just when it's something that I feel like is a little nitpicky, that's where I'm like, okay, like now we're just nitpicking. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like
Thank you, Tom, that was a great interview. I can't wait for it to come out.
Absolutely. That's where I get kind of, I think AEW, all wrestling companies, but I think AEW has given us a fair amount of things to critique over the last 2 to 3 months, right? So when I hear critiques about things that I don't feel like, I just feel like, oh, these is wrestling fans just complaining about everything, because there's really no reason to complain about that. That's when I'm kind of like, all right, let's relax. Let's relax. But
I'm a unique fellow. I don't know what to tell you.
Who am
I? Orange Cassidy was in a big feud with the Death Riders very short time ago.
Yes.
And now he's going to be teaming up with Big Boom AJ and Mark Briscoe against 3 other people.
Yeah.
In like the pre-show of Revolution.
He just came back
at all.
He just came back. Came back 2 weeks ago.
But why did he go away?
Because he got
leaving.
Because he had to figure it out. He was wearing all black and he was fogged up in the brain. The Death Riders murdered all his friends and all that stuff. And then he lost and he came back and now he's.
And now he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah. Now he's back to Orange Cassidy.
Just like Top Flight, just like Private Party, just like Dark Order, just like, well, I was going to say just like Jay White, but Jay White has decided he's going to be reinserting himself.
Yeah.
Uh,
And he's going to be reinserting himself
and
by
inserting
helping
himself
procure.
with Death Riders.
Yeah, by helping procure that Christian leaves Revolution as the heavyweight champion. But we will get there. We will get there.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, and I think if all of that didn't happen, then we would have been okay with the Death Riders this whole time. But they have gone. That report came out a couple of weeks ago about Shane McMahon, or I don't know, it was last week or a couple of weeks ago.
I didn't hear it. What report was this?
Where
I didn't hear anything about Shane.
We talked about it on the show.
Did we?
Yeah, when he wanted like.
Oh, he did. Oh,
company,
you mean like from like way? Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know if the Death Riders had been part of the story of bringing him in, which is why they started the way that they started in September.
Mm-hmm.
But to just have it kind of look directionless for as long as it did just made everybody, well, not everybody, but it made a lot of people not care and want it to be done, to the point that now when it's actually starting to get legitimately interesting, it's not enough because there's been so long. It's been since October that we haven't even seen the World Championship on TV.
Yeah. October. Yeah, see, I don't, again, I know you harp on that a lot. That hasn't affected my, not seeing the title hasn't affected me as much as it's affected. Like, I don't care. Like, it's part of the story.
You don't want to see the nicest looking
okay,
title of the modern day. I mean,
yeah, but like, I don't know. When wrestlers walk out, even if they're champions, I'm not more excited because there's a belt around their shoulder. Gives a shit to the champ. I don't know. Like, when I love, other company, but like, I'm a big Cody guy, right? I don't get more excited to see Cody Rhodes on SmackDown because he's holding the title. I don't go, look at that title. Ooh. I don't, it's not a
That's
prop,
ironic,
but
because on Tuesday you proclaimed yourself as the old school guy.
I am the old
but
school
that's
guy.
Not an old school mentality.
It's I look at, like, I want the people that I like to be the champions. The belt itself does very little for me. Like, the belts themselves do very little for me. Like, if it's a nice looking belt, it's a nice looking belt. I love the tag titles on SmackDown, but again, like, I don't like a tag team more because I get to see the belts when they're out there. Like, that has nothing to do, like, so, like, yeah, obviously we haven't seen the AEW title since October. That's part of the story. Would I like to see the title? Yeah, but like, that's not why I don't like this storyline, is because that has nothing to do with why I like or dislike this storyline, because the title to me doesn't really matter. We're going to see it at some point. Like, that's just,
I mean, I get to see it in the crowd at least.
Yeah, the fake ones that nobody earned. Not defending them in the crowd as well. Bullshit. So I guess that's like, now they're starting, now other wrestlers are talking about the belt more. Swerve has mentioned it. Other wrestlers are talking about the belt, like, hey, they're making references of like, hey, I want to be the champion so we can see this. Like, they're starting to make references that way.
We're seeing the belt on Sunday.
Yeah, because Christian is leaving with it. But anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. We started talking about Mariah May and Toni Storm, and then we kind of went off on the rails.
Let's talk about that sit down.
Let's talk about that sit down, because literally a thing of perfection. It's in the back. Renee is the moderator, and right away, like
immediately,
Renee is like welcoming them and thanking them for being good sports to do this, and Mariah May just spits in Toni's face. And Renee is disgusted. She's like, come on. Like, what are you doing? And Toni doesn't wipe. She just doesn't wipe it off. Just sits there with it as is the whole time. Amazing. And then Mariah May, it's just, so she spits in her face. And Mariah May goes, "Oh, there you go, Toni. Now you can do what you do best, play the victim." And Renee goes, "Hey, wait a minute." She goes, "No, you started this. Since you got here, you started this. You started wanting to hang out with her and clinging to her. And this is all you. She didn't do anything. Like, you're the one that started all of this." And then Mariah just kind of like, she doesn't really pay it, like, acknowledge it. But then she starts talking to Toni and she's like almost begging Toni. And she's like, "We need each other. Like, this should have been you and me and all this stuff." And she's like, "On Sunday, we're going to have our famous Hollywood ending. And it would be so much better if it was together instead of the way it is now." And then she goes, "Because they're going to say eventually that Mariah May did it better." And that's how this is going to be looked at is, oh, Mariah May did it better than timeless Toni Storm. So then Toni, she says, "Yeah, you're not." She goes, "You're not great." She goes, I wish you to a life of mediocrity." She goes, "Where you'll be fine, but you'll dwindle. You'll be liked, but never loved. You'll be replaced and forgotten. And one day they'll ask, whatever happened to Mariah May?" In the last line, she said, she goes, "And the answer will be that she found out what happens when you try to kill God." And then they had a big stand up, like cross, like stare down as they stood up out of their chairs. Didn't get violent. Mariah May kind of threw her chair. She was pissed. But again, this was, and I also loved how at one point Mariah May is like inching closer to Toni and she's like going over Renee's legs while she's doing it. Like, she's leaning on Renee as she's continually getting closer to Toni to try to like be more intense. And Renee is like getting more and more uncomfortable as the thing is happening. It was just very well done. Renee was perfect in it. Renee continues to be probably the greatest backstage interviewer, maybe in the like, she's up there. It's like Mean Gene and her are like the two best, I think, ever.
Yeah.
They're like the two best. But like, this whole thing was perfect. And they didn't need to be physical. You felt the intensity because it's been a story we've seen for a year and a half. And we know all the storylines. We've seen all the violence. We've seen all the different iterations of everything. It was just a perfect thing where they're like, we don't need to beat up each other. We don't need to brawl. We're just going to sit here and things will get heated, but we're just going to sit here and speak some truths. And then everyone's going to be really excited for this match on Sunday. And I thought this was a perfect segment. Perfect.
Yes, and the both of them just staring at each other's eyes and saying, "Pray for her." That was like at the same time. It was perfect. It's just this is the, I feel like, the best story right now in AEW.
I agree.
Like, from start to finish, or start to this up to this point, regarding them specifically and the story with them specifically, I think it's the best one right now. Swerve and Ricochet are just right under that.
That's my number 3 right now. But I hear you. I have Max and MJF as I have Max and Hangman as
well,
one.
yeah, that's true.
They're my number one. And then I would have this as like, no, I don't even want to say 2. I would have this as 1A. And then I have Ricochet and Swerve, like not far underneath, but yeah. But those are the 3 matches that I care about the most on Sunday, without question.
There
like, it's not
are
even
going to
close.
be a lot of this. This is a very story-driven revolution, I would say. Like a bulk of the matches have storied history between the competitors. This match we're talking about now, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, Kenny Omega and Konosuke Takeshita. I mean, there's going to be. It's really, really awesome. I can't really.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been a pay-per-view of theirs in the past that have had stories like this, but one thing that people cannot say is that they don't have them. anymore
Yeah,
because
agreed.
there's still, like the men that are on my shirt right now are involved in an absolutely ridiculous and unnecessary thing with another team, but that's fine.
It's wrong, but yeah, that's okay.
It's
But
it
you
yeah,
didn't see one of the best parts of Dynamite last night, that music video from 1987?
it was
You didn't see
all
it?
right.
You didn't see that?
I'm kind of over that at this point.
See, this is the part of the show where I get angry because this is Drew being critical of things he has no business being critical about. A team that's super over
I
and
don't
super
hate.
fun
Okay,
that he just
listen.
hates for no reason.
I
For
don't
no reason.
hate them. I'm not saying that I hate them. It's just that
Yeah, they're just one of the
that's
most over acts in the company. God forbid they get a title shot at all. They're just super over for like 8
no,
months.
I don't disagree with them getting a title shot.
Yeah, last week you did.
No.
Last week you did. Yeah, you
It's
did.
not that I don't disagree that they're getting the title shot. I'm disagreeing at that it's not going to be a squash match. That's
Well,
what
we
I
don't know.
disagree
We don't
with.
know yet. We don't know, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a competitive. It shouldn't be a long competitive match, but they should get some stuff in. But regardless of that, you don't like the Outrunners. You just don't like flamboyant teams. So that's just how I'm sticking it. You don't like Pretty Deadly. You don't like the Outrunners. You just don't like fun. You don't
Well,
like fun in your
I don't
wrestling.
know if I would call the Outrunners flamboyant.
Nah, yeah, I would. I would. They're out there. They're out there. No? Is that the wrong?
Not
Would you
in the
consider?
pretty deadly version of flamboyant.
Eh, I think they are
Sinner,
very.
you're here. Would you call the Outrunners
I think
flamboyant?
they're very similar acts. I think they're very similar acts. They do it differently, but they're very like.
I haven't seen the Outrunners in bed together.
Well, wait, have they done that? Has yeah, flamboyant adjacent. That's fair. I'll take that, Sunday Center. I'll take that. But maybe you just don't like, I don't know. Maybe you just don't like fun teams? Is that it? Are you against fun teams? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why you hate two quality tag teams that everybody else likes.
I don't like a gimmick where I need to suspend my disbelief a little too much.
Okay, so you haven't watched wrestling your whole life then. Because that's literally what pro wrestling is.
It's not. I'm not saying that
John Moxley put a plastic bag over Brian Danielson's head. Did you actually think he was going to kill him, Drew? Did you actually think he was going to murder him in the ring, or did you suspend your belief to think that that wasn't real?
Listen, right now in my wrestling fandom, when the Outrunners came on to AEW more often in the beginning, I was actually like excited for them, and I was into it in the beginning, but they, there's a booking philosophy there where
the bag over the head was very flamboyant. It was.
yeah,
It was.
absolutely.
It was.
There was a disco ball
Yeah.
behind them,
Yeah.
and they were in the the wind was flowing through their hair.
Look,
John
man,
Moxley
Daniel
particularly.
Garcia got over by friggin' dancing. So I don't want to hear
I wouldn't say that the dancing is what got him over.
I would. There was a very strong reason of why Daniel Garcia got over is everybody wanted to see him do the dance. They popped the most when he did the dance.
Yeah, but
part of the shtick.
Well, yes, exactly. It's part of the shtick, but it's not the main. It's not who he is. He's actually a great wrestler.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I think these guys are, if you've seen some of their long-form tag matches, they're a good tag team. Again, I'm not going to spend another 20 minutes talking about the Outrunners because you don't like them for some reason.
You started this.
No, you brought them up.
Well, I brought them up.
Yes, because I will stand strong. Your hate of the Outrunners is not cool. Not cool. Not cool. Anyway, who knows? And again, you didn't even bring them up by name. You brought them up as this dismissive. Oh, the Hurt Syndicate is in some team that doesn't. Blah, blah, blah. You dismiss them like they're trash when they're fighting for the tag titles on Sunday. Not cool, Drew. Not cool. So the thing that Drew was talking about earlier, where I get upset about things, this is one of those things because he has hate for the Outrunners when there's no reason for him to have hate. They're getting one tag match that they're going to lose. We all know they're going to lose it. They're getting one match for the tag titles, and he's 2 weeks in a row. He has a problem with it. Makes no sense. I hope they win now. They're not going to.
Thank you, Dan. I feel vindicated.
No,
Anyway,
they're not lame, Dan. Just because Dan has filled in a couple times and you guys are friends, I'm not. No.
Scott. Thank you, Scott. So
I don't care. I don't care what Scott has to say. I like Scott, but I don't care what Scott has to say. Guy's from New Hampshire. He roots for the friggin' Philadelphia Eagles. I don't care what he has to say. He's a turncoat. Root for your local teams. Anyway, Toni Storm and Mariah May should main event Revolution. I'm going to stick by that. Drew.
Well, we're all going to cope.
Anyway, who knows? All right. Wait, all right. So do you think, okay, it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. Thank you, Ophelia. Ophelia bringing some sense to the chat. It's part of wrestling. Fools. Anyway, who do you think's going to win? You think Toni Storm retains? Or do you think Mariah May, do you think we continue this, or you think this is the definitive end? This is the end. Falls Count Anywhere?
I think this is the definitive end.
So do you have Toni retaining then and moving on to things after? Or do we think Mariah gets it back?
I mean, it would, as you know, like hot potatoing like this. I don't know if it serves this feud well, but they could do a thing where like Mariah actually does win, and that sets Timeless Toni off in like a more violent, vicious streak, like an angry streak instead of woe is me. The woe is me was the first iteration of it, and I have to go away and retreat and be alone. I feel like maybe if she had lost the title for a second time, especially after the sit down, I think that would make her go crazy. And that might be a new version of Timeless that we've not seen before, the crazy version.
Yeah.
Where she's just like
Ryan, I fully agree. And he's
happy birthday, Ryan.
He's the birthday boy, so he's right, but I fully agree.
As a win. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, now I want them to, they're not going to, obviously, but now I want them to win just to spite you. Just so we could sit here next week and I can go. Anyway.
No, please don't do that to me.
I think Toni's going to win. I think Toni's going to win.
I'm pretty sure she's going to win. Yeah.
And then I think we're eventually building to Toni versus Mercedes. I think. Yeah. Although last night on Mark Order, Kate, I want to throw this to you. Kate threw something out there, and she was like, she goes, Toni. I think she said that she thinks Toni's going to win on Sunday, but she threw out there, she goes, what would you think about kind of an off the beaten path type thing? The way they presented her, she said, what would you think if like not far from now, Megan Bayne just steamrolled through everybody and beat Toni for the title?
I wouldn't hate that. I like Megan Bayne.
That's what I said. I was like, I have not thought about that, but like the way they presented her and the way she's throwing people around and the way, like, if you wanted to have her just come in and like win a title like that very quickly, and she doesn't have to keep it for long, but like win a title like that very quickly. Oh, here comes Lou. And dominate. And like, that's a good way to, because I think that they've really knocked the debut out of the park with Megan Bayne. And I feel like if you wanted to really solidify her as like an actual top star right away, having her kind of win a quick title like that, I didn't even think about it, but Kate threw it out there and I was like, I would not hate that at all. That'd be fun. But
yeah, that would be That would be good because there was I don't know what happened with Camille that just seemingly she just disappeared, and
Yeah.
I don't know if she's like, injured or something.
Yeah.
Um, but I think Megan Bain is that perfect like powerhouse replacement for Camille that can run through the division and then go to Toni Storm and take the title from her.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's also like Chris Statlander still, she's a powerhouse too. Nothing to take,
Hmm.
not taking that away from her. Um, but I get concerned about a lot of the placement of wrestlers in general because they're just always like in and out, and then they disappear for a month, and it just when you like really start enjoying something, it feels like it gets taken away for a little while.
Mm. That's fair.
So I I would want to see Megan on TV, if not weekly, then every other week, or like skip a week, do 3 weeks of a month instead of 4 if you need
Mm.
to. Doing a couple of beating Chris Statlander, beating Willow Nightingale, beating you know uh, a couple of people, and
Hmm.
then getting to uh maybe by I don't know, All Out, maybe All In, All Out time. Well,
Yeah.
no, they're not doing them together this year anymore.
No. But
But I'll say like maybe by like All Out, that would be a good time for her to see. Because here's the thing too, because I just like tweeted about this morning, unrelated to the women's division, but related to the topic that we're talking about with regards to positioning of wrestlers.
mhm.
It's like Will Ospreay's been in the company for over a year now, and he hasn't even sniffed the world title, and that's just crazy to me.
It's on purpose. That's been very, very on purpose, though. Very, very on purpose.
But he's like a perfect like Punk replacement in AEW,
Mm.
and A Punk was always in the main event scene.
Yeah. I think that has been done very much on purpose because they already know where and when they want Will Ospreay to win his first title. They already know. And I think that they're waiting for it because I think they know who the opponent they want it to be is. And I think they know when and they know where. And I think that that is done. I don't think Will's going to touch that world title probably for another 3 or 4 dudes because I can see, I see again, we got to talk about it, but I see Copeland beating Moxley on Sunday. And then I see Christian beating Copeland on Sunday to leave with the title. Then we got the number one contender between Swerve and Ricochet. I think will beat Christian for that title. And I don't think Ospreay necessarily touches the title for another. It'll be this year. It'll be this year. It'll be this year, maybe. But I think I think we still got a little bit of time before we see Ospreay. Now, fighting for world titles is different. I think he will fight for the world title again within the next 2 to 3 months, maybe once he's
I
done.
honestly forgot that he had that match with Swerve last year for the
Yes,
title.
yes. So he's already fought for the title with Swerve. But yeah, we gotta dive in because we've already been going for 40 minutes and we've talked about one match on Revolution. Um, all right, so we talked about Timeless Tony. I'm picking Timeless Tony to retain. That's what I'm
Same.
picking. All right, so let's move forward. We also had a contract signed. First of all, we had a contract signing last night between Swerve and Ricochet. I thought, contract signings are contract signings. They're all, they're basically a dime a dozen. But I thought this was really good. As far as a contract signing goes, I did feel like this was one of the better ones. Um, They talked about the robe. Ricochet wasn't wearing the robe, obviously, very much on purpose. He didn't want Swerve to kind of maybe one-up him and try to steal the robe or anything like that. So he's not wearing the
I
robe.
thought that was very smart.
Yes. And Ricochet says, don't worry, we'll see it on Sunday. Like, it's getting some upgrades. He says it's getting some upgrades, if you will. Then Nana starts getting pissed. And then Ricochet says the line, he goes, get your grandpa. Get your grandpa. Relax. Tell your grandpa to relax. So then Swerve at first he's not playing around. He's like, just sign the contract, just sign the contract. And Ricochet's like, you're lucky that I'm even humoring this idea of fighting you again, because I should be done with you because I've already beaten you. But this is one step closer to me getting the world title. It is.
True.
But the way that Nana did it, and Ricochet was good last week about saying, like, all right, you got me. Like, that's smart, is Ricochet wants to win the world title. And this is a perfect example of where Ricochet is right. He doesn't have to fight Swerve again. He proved his point, but if he can beat Swerve again, he's the number one contender, and that's what's more important to him currently. So then they start going back and forth. Swerve said that Ricochet is the one that stuck his nose into his business and chose to mock him. No, I'm sorry. Swerve says that he was the one that started by sticking his nose into his business and chose to mock him and try to embarrass and bully him. And then he says, and even in the face of all that, you still beat me. And that's why you're mad. And he says, sign the contract. God, my notes are fucking terrible. He said, it says, Swerve says, sign the contract again. And he says he will, but Ricochet doesn't shut up. And he talks about being one step closer, blah, 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 blah. Then he says, I'm focused on Jon Moxley and Adam Copeland and being the champion he always was supposed to be. He signs the contract and then he says, don't let Nana down, Swerve. Don't let Nana down. And then Swerve gets pissed off. He says, shut the hell up. He calls him entitled, annoying. He calls him a prick. He said, I started this because I wanted to expose who you are. And he goes, the biggest mistake you made was leaving me breathing. He goes, you've awakened the most dangerous man in AEW, and you're going to have to learn to live with it. And then the last line that Swerve says is he goes, the only thing people are going to remember from this are that I made you famous and your announcer wife. And good line. And then Swerve, and then the crowd, obviously is like, oh, and then Ricochet stands up like he's pissed, but he's not going to do anything because he's a nerd. So he's not going to do anything, but he stands up like he's angry. And then Swerve kind of laughs and he goes to leave, and Ricochet opens up his jacket pocket and he pulls out the scissors, and he's coming around, and he turns Swerve around, and Swerve catches it. And then Swerve opens his jacket, and he's got a pair of scissors of his own, and he just hits Ricochet right between the eyes, or right in the forehead. Boom. Knocks Ricochet down. Ricochet starts to bleed.
Yeah.
And then that's how this ends. Obviously, they had the main event tag match at the end, but this segment itself, again, contract signings are, they are what they are. But
Swerve was a little out of place in this promo. Like, he was kind of like stumbling over his words a little bit. I wonder.
Yeah, I thought he did. Yeah, he did have a couple blunders when he was talking, which is very much unlike him. One of them though was when the crowd started kind of like chanting Swerve's house for him, and I think he was just kind of like, and then he stopped and he let the crowd do it, and then once the crowd finished, he kind of got back and it was like, he was the Swerve that we all know. But I thought for a contract signing, I
don't
thought
threaten me with a good time, bunkers.
I thought this was a good little segment. And Ricochet just continues to be just a great heel,
Yeah, the way he was flopping around, grabbing his forehead stuff.
Yep.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
And then we fast forward to the end of the night, and we had a tag match main event, and it was Swerve who was teaming with Brody King, and they went up against Ricochet and the gentleman who Brody King will be fighting on Sunday, the Continental Champion, Kazuchika Okada. And this main event was very good, a very, very good tag match. But it was a tag match that saw at the end of it, Okada went and grabbed the Continental title to try to hit Brody King with it, but he got hit and hit the ground, and as the ref wasn't looking, Ricochet hit Swerve over the head with the title, and Ricochet got the 1-2-3 over Swerve again. Another win over Swerve again to end the show, which tells me on Sunday, Swerve is going to beat Ricochet in this match and become the new number one contender for the AEW World Heavyweight title.
There's going to be a heel will be leaving Revolution as AEW World Champion. Which one yet? We don't know. But it's probably going to be Christian. And we need a babyface to go after him.
Yep. And Christian and Swerve have a history. It's a very quick way to get the title off of Moxley and then on to someone like a Swerve. And then you can build to Swerve and MJF, Swerve and Hangman. There's a lot of things going on. The Hurt Syndicate, there's a lot of things going on. So that is, yeah. That's what I think. I think Swerve is going to win. He's going to beat Ricochet. Ricochet has 2 up on him now. I think Swerve is going to beat Ricochet on Sunday, become the number one contender. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. And that's how we kind of go from there. And then to turn it around on the other guys, MJF and Hangman had a very good night on Dynamite last night as well. The show started and Max was outside the arena, and he said he says what he did to Hangman, what I did to Christopher Daniels was light work, and now I'm ready to prove a point to your little shitty little Mark fan club, he said. And he goes, if you want to fight, I ain't hard to find. I'm on the streets of Sacramento, and I got a bullet with your name on it. And he says, so if you want to do some cowboy shit, like saddle up or something like that. He started yelling. So then later on in the evening, we see Hangman roll up in his car with the horns on the front and things like that. And he's looking for Max, and they start brawling. Renee is out there with Max outside at this point, and he's calling Hangman a gutless coward. He's saying that MJF is the true main character of AEW. And then Hangman drives up, and it's in an electric truck, by the way, because we know that Hangman is a good guy and he cares about the earth. But he drives up in his electric truck. He gets out. He charges into the arena. Him and Max are brawling. But then it turns out to be a lookalike who wasn't Max.
Yeah.
That Max paid. And then the real MJF appears behind Hangman. He beats him up, takes him to the ring. They go back and forth. He sets up for a buckshot, but MJF kicks him below the belt. Then he hits the heat seeker, knocks him out cold, and then MJF reveals, he takes off his button up, and he reveals a shirt that says, MJF did nothing wrong.
Now,
MJF did nothing wrong.
What is that copying in wrestling history? Or is it not copying something?
I mean, wrestling always copies. Wrestling always copies. There's like wrestling is like 12 stories that have been told over the last.
Like how
it's all the same. Kevin Owens is right. Kevin Owens is right.
Kevin Owens did the Cody sucks eggs shirt. Like, is that like a callback to something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, because I was like, I feel like this is purposefully.
Well, to me,
I thought it was purposefully done.
Yeah, to me, it just sounds like it's just one of those things. Like when Kevin Owens says that Kevin Owens was right, I'm right. I've been right, and you have the hashtag Kevin Owens is right. To me, it was just another thing like that, like MJF. Because technically, when you look at it, I think MJF's complaint of Hangman, and I know you have slightly different, but like I think that MJF playing the angle of, hey, this guy's done all this terrible shit, and you guys still cheer him and love him. But when I do terrible shit, you guys loathe me.
It is what I said last week. It's mirroring what happened with Hangman and Swerve. And now the Swerve role is being played by Hangman.
Yes.
And the Hangman role is being played by MJF.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Sunday Center said it. I don't care about that guy, so I'm not going to mention it. But if you look at the chat, That might be true. I don't know. I don't pay
Oh.
attention to what that loser does.
Mm.
So yeah, that's just kind of so going into this match. So not only so he takes Hangman out, knocks him unconscious, hits the heat seeker. He's unconscious, and then he goes and gets lighter fluid,
Oh, God.
and he starts dousing Hangman with lighter fluid, like he's gonna light him on fire. Which obviously Hangman has a history with fire. And then the security and all these people come out and they break it up, and we don't get to see that obviously and stuff like that. So that's what's going on. And
Now
MJF's
they
just
need to have
screaming,
an
"Let me
Inferno
prove my
match.
point. Let me prove my point." MJF's just screaming, "Let me prove my point." But they drag him
Inferno
out of the
match at
ring.
Revolution?
I know, yeah. He's yelling that Hangman's a coward, that they're all hypocrites. And then that's kind of how this segment ends. Very good. This MJF Hangman stuff has been, again, like, this has been the stuff that I've enjoyed the most. This and the Mariah and Toni stuff has been the top things in AEW for me over the last little bit here. This is the match I'm looking forward to the most. This is the MJF that I want. And we talked about it last week. Like, I feel like since MJF has come back, this is the first thing that I feel like, and this is no disrespect to Adam Cole, because Adam Cole's a great wrestler. I just think people were done with that story. People didn't care about that story anymore. They just wanted to finish it, so they finished it, which is fine. But I feel like this is the first time since MJF has come back in the last couple months that MJF is doing stuff that matters, like really matters. And feuding with a guy like Hangman, that's a top guy. Like, this is where MJF should be. He should be feuding with top guys. He should have this intensity in his promos. This is the MJF we need to see. Because he should be this guy moving towards the world title. That is who this guy should be. And I'm very much looking forward to this match. These guys, to me, kind of how like we say that Swerve and Hangman can feud forever. This is the same thing to me. Like, I think MJF and Hangman can be intertwined with each other for the next decade in AEW, especially when they start fighting for titles, when one of them has a belt and you can run it back or stuff like that. Like, this is a feud where these two guys, when AEW first started, we knew that they were a part of the next crew, but they were kind of, there's a lot of parallels between these guys. And I feel like this is a feud that can go on forever. And yeah, I think Ryan is just kind of right. Maybe Hangman can just feud with everybody forever, because everything that Hangman does just hits.
I know.
Just hits.
He's, a couple weeks ago, MJF called him the main character, and
he even referenced it outside. He was like, "I'm the main character. You're not. It's me. I'm the main character."
Yes,
MJF was yelling.
It really is like everything that Hangman has been involved in since the start of AEW has mattered, and his character has been the sole reason that made it matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very much excited and I'm like, all right, so this is a hard one to predict because
I was just going to ask you, who wins?
Hangman has had a lot of pay-per-view losses since he won the match with Swerve. I don't think he's won at all at a pay-per-view, because he had like two. How many matches did he have with Jay White? Like 2 on pay-per-view?
Yeah, he lost them both, right?
And he lost them both, and that was a shock. I did not expect him to lose both of them.
Yeah.
And then the triple threat, or the four-way, and he lost that. And then he won against Christopher Daniels. That's like the only match he's won since the Swerve match that I can remember, at least.
Well, he beat the shit out of Max Casta real quick. Didn't he answer the open challenge? Really. It's a win. It's a win, though.
But it is a win, yes.
But yeah, he did that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like Hangman it's been part of the story, right? Part of the story is Hangman had to get beaten down to kind of be on his way to get good again. You know what I mean? So I think part of the story was Hangman was losing all these matches, and maybe he is realizing maybe the way that I'm doing things isn't really the way I should be doing things. And he's realizing that as Christopher Daniels was like, "Hey, man, like you're a good
Yes.
guy. We know you're a good guy. Like, stop it. Like, cut it out. All right." And I just think that's been the story for Hangman. I feel like this of all the matches on the card, I feel like this is the toughest one to call. I feel like this is the toughest one to call because
Because
there's no
MJF
stakes.
could win by using Diamond Ring and cheating.
He could use a lot. He could trade. Yeah, somebody could. Yeah, he could. MJF can win by cheating in any way, form, because that's what he does.
Yeah, right. And what does that do for Hangman? Obviously, that would mean that this is continuing, but I kind of feel like regardless of who wins, maybe
Yeah,
this
this is
continues.
going. Yeah, this is continuing. Yeah, I don't. This is not a one-off. This doesn't feel like a one match and done thing to me. This feels like something that's going to go for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which makes me think if it's going to go for a little bit, the heel would win first, right? And then you have the baby face kind of being like, getting the revenge. Or you could go the other way and have Hangman win this one, and that kind of continues because MJF is like the intensity that he has, and like he's going crazy. And I love this because MJF is usually the guy that like he doesn't go after you. He waits for you to come after him, and then he has a smart way to kind of get a one up on you or stuff like that. Like MJF wants to kill Hangman as much as Hangman wants to kill MJF. And we don't see that from MJF a lot. Like last night, MJF wasn't beating around the bush. Like MJF was there and he was like, I'm ready to fucking fight. So if you want to fight, let's fucking.
Yeah.
And MJF doesn't do that. That's not an MJF thing where he's like, no, I'm waiting outside for you, buddy. No, MJF's the guy who's smarter than everybody.
Right.
And he's like, no, you can come after me and then I'm going to one up you. And then I'll have the better, I'll get the upper
have to
hand.
go through 5 people.
Exactly. Like that's who MJF is. But last night, MJF was like, no, I want to beat the shit out of you. So let's go. And I kind of like that. I like that Hangman. And I said it to make everybody not cry. I called him the way that you all do. But Hangman is getting that craziness out of MJF. So it's kind of like Hangman's trying to get away from the craziness, but he's pulling MJF into it with him. And I just think that's a very
and
a different side of MJF.
It's not just Hangman that's pulling him into it. It's the crowd that's pulling him into it because the crowd has always been an integral part of MJF's character arc.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said a couple weeks ago, they weren't exactly truthful about the crowd not being on his side because there was a chunk of time in 2023 when the crowd was on his side and they were cheering him. It was also with Adam Cole too, but they were cheering for him. And they kind of just like they've chosen to ignore that for the sake of this story, which you got to do that sometimes if you want to tell a story. But he very famously was getting the reaction that he so desired. So it's kind of hard to ignore it, because he was getting cheered for bulk of time in 2023. But I think that what I like about the story, though, regarding the crowd is that it is mirroring the Hangman Swerve thing. It's the exact same story, pretty much, where Hangman is now Swerve, realizing that the actions that you do don't matter as much as the person that you are.
Agreed.
The crowd loves the person, and yes, the person could do some dastardly things like break into a house and stand over a baby's crib. But he didn't harm the baby or the house. He didn't himself do a very truly evil thing. Hangman went crazy as a result and burned down Swerve's house. But the crowd was still behind him. And after that was over and that cage match was over, and he started going after people that were pro Swerve, like Jeff Jarrett and was it just Jeff Jarrett? Or was it somebody else?
No, wasn't it Dustin?
Oh, Christopher Daniels.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you're talking about Hangman right now?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Yeah.
Because then he had the world title thing with the 4-way. But it then slowly started to come to realization that, oh, the crowd is on my side, even though when I was so angry at Swerve and the crowd was on his side, I was trying to fight against that, but it turns out that that's actually the right thing. They were cheering the right person, and that realization with Hangman, I think when we finally get to that moment, I think is when he and Swerve share a ring together again. And he's like, oh, you know what? I was wrong. And he's because he's been trying to like apologize to Swerve, do something. He's been trying to talk to Swerve, probably to apologize, but he doesn't want anybody to know that his reasoning because everyone's still going to think, oh, he wants to go and attack Swerve again. But it's not actually to attack Swerve. There could be a moment in time where Swerve is outnumbered and Hangman's the one that comes to make the save.
Could be.
Now with MJF is in the Hangman role from last year. And the crowd is against him, who he feels is truly a good person, while they're cheering on somebody that he believes is a bad person, who's burned down a house, who's done these evil, dastardly things, just like Hangman thought of Swerve back then when Swerve was getting cheered. So it's I really love that it's mirroring that storyline with Hangman now in the Swerve role. And this is the best MJF. This is the best version of him. And this is the MJF that I want all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Who you picking?
I'm going to pick MJF.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning to. I hate picking against Hangman. But yeah, I'm leaning MJF too. I think MJF's going to get the victory. I don't think this is the end, though. I think Hangman wins the feud. But I think MJF is going to win this one on Sunday. There's some more just big time matches on this show. We haven't even talked about the actual world title match. I know we've hinted towards it, but we had an 8-man tag on Dynamite last night, which, I went into it and I was like, oh, typical 8-man tag that they're going to do. And it kind of was, but this turned into like a hell of a match. These 8 guys, they all looked really good throughout the match. I loved the middle of the match where it turned into kind of the meat section of the match where Powerhouse Hobbs was trading lariats with Brian Cage and Lance Archer. I thought that was a good little spot. I thought this was a very fun 8-man, a typical AEW 8-man where everything kind of breaks down and goes crazy. But I thought all 8 of these guys had moments in this match where they looked like they were the best guy in the match. And I think that's what you want out of it. It was a lot of fun. And at the end of it, Will Ospreay gets the victory by hitting a hidden blade on Brian Keith. And Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Will Ospreay defeat Brian Keith and the Don Callis family, which was Cage, Archer, and Mark Davis. After the match, though, Mark Davis puts a sleeper on Will Ospreay while the Murder Machines are beating over Hobbs. They do a double power bomb to Hobbs on the side of the stairs, which looked very cool.
Yeah.
And Callis is obviously watching in the background, and he's kind of real close to Will Ospreay as Ospreay's starting to kind of get knocked out from the sleeper, and he's yelling he's yelling at Ospreay, and then Lance Archer kind of steps on Ospreay's neck, and at that moment, Kyle Fletcher makes his entrance. He comes down. Ospreay is basically unconscious at this point.
Beautiful.
And they hold Ospreay up. And Ospreay starts to come around. Kyle punches him in the face. And then in the midsection, he's grounding punches. He's just wailing on him. And at this point, Mark Davis grabs Fletcher and kind of throws him off Ospreay. Even though Mark Davis is the guy that choked him out. But he's like, no, this is enough. And he kind of pushes Fletcher off of Ospreay. And Fletcher gets right in Mark's face, and he was like, this isn't like before. You don't tell me what to do anymore. He goes, you do as you're told. I'm the guy who tells you what to do now. This isn't like before. And I thought commentary did a very good job, especially Excalibur, where he was like, well, you got to remember, like in Aussie Open, like Mark Davis was the veteran of the team. So he was the guy that would, call the shots a little bit and stuff like that because Davis was the veteran of the team. Right. So I thought they did a good job of whatever. So then Fletcher instructs that he grabs the chair and he goes, you're going to hit Ospreay with the chair. He goes, you're going to do that. This is your punishment for doing what you just did. You're going to hit Ospreay with the chair. He sets the chair up. And then Mark Davis hits him. And then Kyle Fletcher does a gnarly brain buster through the open seated chair on Will Ospreay. And that's how this ends. Riccaboni, listen, he rules, man. Him at the table, even when he's playing not the main color guy, when he's playing another, like the three that they had last night with Taz, Excalibur, and Riccaboni, that is, when Rick is there, and I love Tony Schiavone. But Tony Schiavone doesn't really bring more to the matches. He really just reacts to the big stuff that's happening. Like that's who Schiavone. Oh my God. Yeah. That's who Schiavone has become. Right.
Yeah.
And I love Tony Schiavone, but Riccaboni, he actually brings points up and he talks about history of the wrestlers. And like, he is very, very good at the table. And I would like him to be a permanent fixture at the AEW table. I just think he adds so much. Absolutely. He just adds so much to the show when he's there. He's so great.
I think now Tony is perfect for the in-ring
interviews. Yes, I agree.
Renee is perfect for the backstage interview.
Lexi Nair is also good at the backstage interviews as well. She does a really good job back there.
She's the collision one. She does the collision, right?
She was on Dynamite. So, they were both there last night, but she's mainly collision, but she does very well too.
And like a long form type is Jim Ross. Like when he does the sit downs with those special sit downs that they do in special feuds, that's like the perfect role for him. Tony Schiavone is in the perfect role for him.
Yeah.
Lexi Nair and Renee Paquette are in the perfect roles for them. And I think the proper commentary team should be Taz, Ian Riccaboni, and Excalibur. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. I feel like that should, and Sinner says, do Ian, Taz, and Excalibur on Dynamite, and then he says, do Caprice, Coleman, Nigel McGuinness, and Tony on Collision. I would be cool if they had two separate announced teams like that. Like, I do feel like Ian, Taz, and Excalibur should be the Dynamite table. That's just how I feel. I just think when Ian Riccaboni is there, you can tell that the show it just, and yeah, I know there's some travel things with Ian. He doesn't want to travel that much, so he doesn't go every week. It's only really where it's close to him, which is fine. I just think he brings so much more to the table when he's there. Like, you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference.
Yeah.
And when you can
There's
tell the difference at the announce table,
there's a lot more
that
life
says
injected into the commentary when
Yeah.
Riccaboni is there.
Yeah.
Nothing against everybody else, but like his energy is unmatched on commentary, and I think it's very much needed.
Agreed. All right. So on Sunday, we have a steel cage match, Drew. And it's Will Ospreay. It's Kyle Fletcher. Do we think this is the end? Do we think this is the final end for Ospreay with the damn Callis family already?
I do think it's the end. I think he wins. But I just don't know what we do with Will Ospreay after this.
I think he's going to be moving towards a title.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I feel like he should be, main event guy pretty much every time, and they do it differently in AEW. It's I like having like a separate. I feel like they should just try it once. What the hell do they have to lose, really? Just like have a
separate what?
Roster for both shows.
I feel like they already kind of do without doing it. I feel like they already kind of do without doing it. You know what I mean? They've been feuding, Duke. I disagree. These guys have been feuding for like
months.
Ospreay and the Callis family have been feuding for how long?
Well, Kyle.
This is their third match already.
Kyle turned on him when? It was like after Wrestle Dynasty, I think.
Yeah, when was Wrestle Dynasty? That
was October.
Was it? Yeah, I don't know. I feel sorry, like I'm ready for Ospreay to be done with I'm ready for Ospreay to be done with the Callis family in general. Because that's all he's been dealing with since he's shown up in AEW, and he's been there for a year. So this is their third match. I don't think it needs to go further than that. Fletcher already has a signature win over him. I think Ospreay wins the cage match, and then Ospreay is on to bigger and better things. That's kind of how I feel this goes. Again, Ospreay and Fletcher are another one of these rivalries that even if this is the end for a while, like they're clearly not done with each other. They're clearly not done with each other. So, first of all, if you think this has been going on for a month, you don't watch the show, Duke. So I would go to the optometrist and maybe get your eyes checked, because I'm pretty sure their first match was about 4 months ago. So I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. But welcome. Thank you for being here and giving us a view. So, I can understand arguments. I can't understand arguments when you're not speaking facts. So I just can't. A month. These guys have been fighting for about 4.5 now at this point. So don't know what you're talking about, buddy. But I digress. So I think Ospreay's going to win this match, Drew. I think Ospreay wins. He moves on to other things, and then we kind of go from there. And then I think Fletcher, it is what it is. Fletcher can kind of find his way. What's Fletcher, like 25, 20? Like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I do agree, though, after Ospreay is done here, they should come back to this when he wins the title.
Yes. Sure. 100%. And again, this is another one of those feuds that, even though this might be the end of it for now, when Ospreay has a title, or when Fletcher, like, these guys are always going to kind of be, intertwining with each other. All right, let's move on and talk about the rest of this Revolution card. As we saw, a big one. I mean, there's like 5 or 6, like, just really good matches. I don't think we're going to see a title change here, but boy, would I love one. But Kazuchika Okada is defending the AEW Continental Championship against my man,
I think we are
Brody King. You think Brody King's beating him? You think Brody King is beating Okada?
I feel like
no, they're unifying the titles with Omega and Okada. They're unifying those titles.
That's true.
No way.
I mean, they could have.
Don't get me wrong. I love Brody King with all my heart. I would love to see Brody King win this match and just win everything because I love Brody King.
Well, okay, so either with Brody King and Okada or Omega and Takeshita, one of them is losing their title.
Yeah, Takeshita is to Kenny Omega.
You think Takeshita is? I don't know. I feel like he's in such a run right now.
Yeah, but Kenny. Yeah, no, Kenny's beating him. I feel pretty confident in that. That's one of my most confident bets of the evening.
I almost don't want him to. I actually want Takeshita to retain.
That's fair. I just think it's Okada and Omega at All In, and they're both going to be
like 3-4 months away.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but he's already beaten Omega twice. The last 2 times they've wrestled one-on-one. Omega's winning that. No way. I mean, anything can happen. Takeshita is incredible. I just see no way that Kenny Omega is losing that match. And we can talk about both combined because I do think they do kind of run into each other because I do think what we are building to, that could happen, Bonkers. I could see that. I do think what we're building to is Okada versus Omega, Continental Championship versus International Championship, and they're going to unify them. They're going to unify them. I think that's what's going to happen.
I think that's Kenny.
Yeah, I agree with Duke right there. He just got back. It's his first big match back. It's for a title. It's against the guy who's gotten the best of them the last couple times they fought. Yeah, I think Okada retains. Oddly enough, Okada's the one I want to lose just because of my affinity for Brody King. But I think Okada wins, Omega wins, and takes the title from Takeshita. And I know it's a few months away, but they are going to build to Okada versus Omega at All In, and it is going to be to unify the Continental and International titles. That's what I think we're getting. I think that's where we're going.
I feel like Okada, a lot of people have a lot of criticisms about Okada, and I don't really agree with a lot of them. But one thing that I do see is the stagnation of his run as the champion, and I think that having him lose would get this new fire in him that we haven't seen in some time, and that version of Okada meeting international champion Kenny Omega at All In, I would rather have, instead of just Okada coasting to All In as the champion and not even facing anybody after this match until then.
Well,
because it kind of feels like that's what would happen.
That. No, we got when's All In now? June? Right? Is it June or July?
I think.
July. So we have, before that, April. We have
May, June. So
what's the pay-per-view they do in April?
Dynasty.
Yeah. So we have these matches on Sunday. We have Dynasty in April. We have Double or Nothing in May, and we have Forbidden Door in June. He's not going to not fight. Oh, did Forbidden Door get moved? What's the June one?
No, that's
the June one.
Forbidden Door.
So what's the June one now? Because the Forbidden Door was the June one. Is there not a pay-per-view in June? Is that the month they're taking off?
Unless it's All In is in June and not July.
Yeah, either way. There's 2 or 3 pay-per-views before we're getting to All In. Okada's obviously
All In is July.
All In is July. Do they have a June on there?
So I'm looking. Dynasty is April.
Because Dynasty is April. Double or Nothing is end of May.
Is May.
Then it used to be Forbidden Door was June.
I don't think there's a pay-per-view in June.
All right, fair enough. So that's fine. I don't care. But I don't know. I don't see Okada losing. As much as I would love him to Brody King, I don't see him losing. So I have Okada winning. And since we brought it up, I have Kenny Omega winning. So those are my two picks for those matches. Is I have Okada retaining the Continental, and I have Kenny Omega as the new international champion.
And I'm going opposite. I want Brody to win, and I want Takeshita to retain.
There we go. What else did we see on Dynamite last night? I'm saving the main event for the end. We had a backstage segment with Mercedes Moné and Renee, where she talked about Momo Watanabe. Very typical what you would see from Mercedes. She had all the belts. She was talking about how, they had a great match before. And she's going to show everybody why she is the CEO on Sunday. Yeah. And I think that's basically it. I expect this match to be really, really good. If you saw their first match was quite excellent. So I feel like this match will live up to that as well. But this is a match to me where this is the easiest match on the card to pick for me. This is Mercedes all day. All day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not losing that one. Athena is coming. Renee was very good last night. Renee was very, very good last night, Ophelia. She was excellent in all those backstage interviews that she was a part of. But yeah, Mercedes is going to win. And then we are creeping till we get Athena coming to challenge Mercedes for that title. And it is going to be a time. Let's see here. Well, we can talk about it. Well, my thing is, here comes Lou's back in here. Yep, here he comes. The shirt you're wearing. Again, I think this is another match. We all know who's going to win. But the Hurt Syndicate are going up against the Outrunners for the World Tag Team Championships. The Hurt Syndicate will retain. It should not be that hard of a situation for them. I do expect the Outrunners to get a flurry or two in the match. But that's about it. I don't think this will be super duper competitive. I don't think it'll be a hard time for the Hurt Syndicate. Yeah, so that match is happening as well as they move forward. It feels like we're going to be moving towards the Murder Machines after that, I would guess. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But the Hurt Syndicate are going to continue to just kind of continue their reign as tag team champions and kind of, I think, bring some credibility and prestige back to those world titles personally. So that is happening. Drew, I know that you agree with me on the Hurt Syndicate. We know your opinions on that matter. Bring the Bucks back. You could. If Buddy Matthews can get healthy, him and Brody King as like an actual tag team with an actual tag team push would be okay for me. That's a match that I would be looking forward to. If we were doing the Hounds of Hell versus the Hurt Syndicate, like, yes. That would be a match I would look forward to.
Yeah.
So you can build to that. They got tag teams. They just need to book them. But we'll see how it goes. All right, let's see. We talked about that one. All right, yeah. No, this is all we have left, Drew. Is the main event. Last night on Dynamite, Adam Copeland had a fantastic match with Wheeler Yuta. Wow. This match was very good.
Yes,
this match was very, very
Wheeler
good.
Coming from outside through the building to the ring. That was really awesome.
Also, another very cool venue. A very old school looking venue. It had a chandelier, Drew.
Yeah.
The venue had a chandelier.
So cool.
I do like how, and again, we've talked about it, them going to the kind of smaller, unique looking venues that they've been doing these last couple months has been gigantic for them. I think it's been
very beneficial.
a huge get for them. And I thought last night was another. The crowd was hot. It was loud. You could tell. Oh boy, Lou's going to cause problems back there. I can already tell. Yeah, you see him back there? Watch, he's going to knock over one of my wrestling guys. You ready? Here it comes. Watch. Ready? Poor Samoa Joe's going to get it. Just wait. Just wait. Keep your eye on him. Keep your eye on him. Anyway, they had a great match. And after the match, sir, brother, are you kidding me, bro? You see this shit? You see this shit?
What picture is that?
No
hanging
respect. That is Jay Briscoe.
There? Oh.
Sir. Hey.
It's one of those days, ladies and gentlemen.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Get out of here. Get out of here. You get out of here. Wow, what a jerk. Disrespecting Jay Briscoe like that. Who the hell does he think he is? Lou, the ultimate heel. But anyway, they had a great match. After the match, Adam Copeland shakes Wheeler Yuta's hands, or shakes his hand, and he says, "This is what respect looks like." That's what he said to Wheeler Yuta. He said, "This is what respect looks like." And then we see Copeland leaves, Wheeler Yuta's in the ring, and we see a very pissed off Jon Moxley get into the ring. He's upset that Wheeler Yuta lost, but he's also upset that Wheeler Yuta shook Copeland's hand, and he starts pushing Yuta around, pushing him in the head, shoving him, being a bully, and he shoves Yuta like 2 or 3 times, and after the third time, Yuta kind of steps up to Moxley a little bit, and Moxley's like, "What?" And Yuta pushes Moxley in the face out of his way.
Yeah.
And he makes his way to the back, and Moxley chases him out back, and we get a little bit of craziness in the back. And then Moxley, I thought, cut a good promo to the camera where he was just like, "All right, Cope, you did what you said you were going to do. I'm by myself now. I have no one here. I'm by myself." He goes, "But that's the worst thing you ever done, because now I'm by myself, so I'm going to be more focused than ever. And, you know, the typical blah, 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 and I'm going to kill you." He goes, "Yeah, you had to pull," I think he said, like, you had to pull the trigger 3 times on the way to this match on Sunday." He goes, "Good." He goes, "Lucky for me, I only have to pull it once," or something like. He said something along
Very
those
good
lines.
line. It was a good
line. It was a good line. And that's that. And so obviously we have the main event, what we think will be the main event, even though Toni and Mariah should main event. But even what we think will be the main event on Sunday, Jon Moxley versus Adam Copeland in a singles match for the AEW World Championship. I thought it was very good because Copeland has physically taken out every member of the Death Riders except last night psychologically Wheeler Yuta, according to Moxley. I don't think he's fully removed. I don't think he's fully removed. But according to Moxley, he's by himself now. He took out everybody. He didn't physically take out Wheeler Yuta. That was a mental head games psychological thing.
That is a very good point.
Yes.
I did not even think about that.
That was a clever way to do it, and a clever way to leave it open that Wheeler Yuta could easily show up on Sunday and try to fuck Copeland over again. You know, even though they had a disagreement, that could happen. Will it? I don't know. But I thought it was pretty clever that they did it that way.
That is a phenomenal point. I did not think about that.
That's what I do. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's the whole. So now does maybe Wheeler Yuta could get involved. I mean, it seems like with any Death Riders match, multiple people get involved. Also, who's to say that at least Claudio doesn't just show up again? I mean,
who's to say there's not
3 weeks?
Who's to say there's not a new member?
Then there's that. You know,
there's that aspect of it too.
If I can see, there could be a multi storyline thing where Wheeler comes down to help, but then is like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out of here. And then a new person joins because Jon Moxley knew that was going to happen. So he enlists the help of Jay White. Maybe, as Bonker said, Josh Alexander.
Jack Perry could come back Jack Perry could come back out of nowhere and do something if they wanted. I agree with Scott though. I think here's my thing though. I think Jay White is going to turn on Cope during this, but I don't think Jay White is going to join the Death Row. I don't think it's going to be that type of thing.
Boy, do I hope not.
And Tanner's popping in. I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see Jay White screw Copeland here, but I don't think it's in turn of Jay White joining the Death Riders. I just think that Jay White is going to feel like that should have been my spot going for the world title, but because you're agreed, but because of who you are and because you're this guy, I'm not going to, Edge, because you're this guy in history, you got this spot when it should have been my spot. And I think Jay White would be correct in having those opinions and those feelings. So. And so I see, my only thing is, do you think that Cope actually beats Moxley? Because you and I are both leaning that we think Christian is going to leave Revolution. And I've been thinking about it for a few weeks now. I've been kind of on that trend. But I know we kind of are aligned that we think that Christian is going to be leaving Revolution as the AEW champion. So
Sinner earlier said that they've been, and I agree with him.
Yeah, we said this last week.
Purposefully leaving Christian off TV.
100%. So you forget about it. Because what did we say last week when we were talking? We were talking and we were like, you notice how Christian was always in like a luxury box? Or he was always overlooking everything that was happening with the Death Riders and all that stuff for months. And then all of a sudden, the last month and a half, he just hasn't been around. They're not showing him at all. Why do you think that is? Because they wanted you to forget about him. Because on Sunday, he's winning the belt.
Then there's the other thing that Scott said just now that I forgot about. I think we had talked about it previously, but they did start. I mean, it was just recent. It was it was literally the last time he was on TV. They started the Nick Wayne dissension.
Mm-hmm.
And what would be awesome. Now, the reports have come out that Killswitch / Luchasaurus is actually getting better, which is wonderful. Now, what that means for his wrestling career, I don't know. But if they want to replace, because like I said, you just cannot have done Christian winning, Killswitch helping Christian win this title contract thing for him to not have screwed him over for what happened at World's End 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that had to be the story that they were telling, because they were teasing the dissension with him for months when Nick Wayne and his mom got introduced. It was like, oh, Luchasaurus is just the guy in the corner and he's treating him like shit. And there was the teasing of dissension, him walking out on that same, what was that? That was All In last year.
I think so, yes. You can't ask me about things
after their match.
I don't remember I smoke too much things.
He walked out after their match.
Yeah.
And then he came back to help Christian win the contract.
Yes.
When we thought that was it was over and that's it. And he's breaking away from this finally. But no, he came and helped Christian win the contract. And I was like, oh, well, he's going to screw him out of the contract because that's what Christian did to him at the first World's End with the TNT title. So it just makes all the sense in the world. So if they want to switch it now and have it be that Nick Wayne screws him out of it instead, I'm totally fine with that.
I think that would be so anticlimactic. That would be such an anticlimactic thing. If at the end of at the end of Revolution, if they're building to the moment that Christian is going to come out and cash in and win the title, and Nick Wayne is the reason he's not, that will be one of the most.
Why is that anticlimactic?
It's because that's how you're going to end your pay-per-view with Nick. And I like Nick Wayne, but there is no reason why I should care about Nick Wayne doing that in a main event segment to end your pay-per-view. No way. No way. Do that shit on a Dynamite.
It would be to have Copeland win.
No, not for me. Not for me. Not to end what is one of your biggest shows of the year, Nick Wayne. Do I think that that's a good story? Yeah. Do that on a Dynamite. That is not how you end a pay-per-view like that. You end the pay-per-view with Christian cashing in and becoming the champion, or Jay White doing like somebody like not Nick Wayne. Come on.
But he's directly involved in the Christian story.
He is, but Nick Wayne does not deserve to be anywhere near a main event on a pay-per-view right now. Anywhere, in any capacity.
Well, he's not fighting for the title.
I agree. I think that would be very anticlimactic. That would be very anticlimactic. If that, Copeland or Moxley left with the title because Nick Wayne did something at the end of the show. No. I don't think that would work.
This is the guy that likes the Outrunners. Okay.
I do like the Outrunners. It's a different level of the card, though. I don't want the Outrunners main eventing on Sunday because they don't belong there.
With the vitriol you just had in your voice, because I dare suggest that Nick Wayne be the guy that does it instead of Killswitch, because Killswitch, who knows when he's going to be around again.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I just think it's a bad idea to do that to end a pay-per-view. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea to me. I don't think Nick Wayne is. I don't think Nick Wayne is deserving of that spot currently. By the way, Nick Wayne has been booked on the TV show.
How many people are deserving of the spots that they're in right now because of the way they're booked on the TV show?
Listen, it is what it is. But I just, for me, I don't. No, I'm sorry. I can't see that happening. The Luchasaurus thing, bonkers. I don't think so. He's climbing Everest. He's not going
to be back until at least Double or Nothing.
And but again, I also think like, I think Kate said it last night. The statistical facts are 40% of the people, Nick Wayne versus Christian Cage, all in for the AEW world. Yeah. Again, if you were to book it and build it to that, yes. Okay.
But I'm not, listen, I don't know if Sinner's probably joking because he jokes a lot.
I think so.
But I'm not saying that I'm not putting Nick Wayne in the main event.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I just think that would be a very anticlimactic end to the show. That's just how if you're going to have Copeland keep the belt and if Christian, then just have Copeland keep the belt and then have a stare down with Swerve and Copeland to end the show or something like that. That's more of a, this is just ending. That's how this is ending a show with two.
There's something actually, we're gonna go a couple more minutes here, but there's something that we
have a history as well.
There's something that we forgot about that we talked about last week that we didn't address when we talked about Swerve and Ricochet this week. What if Nana turns on Swerve and actually helps Ricochet win, and Ricochet then gets the number one contendership and goes against Copeland?
I could see that happening. We talked about it last week. I could see that happening. Where Nana turns. Do we think this is the end of Ricochet and Swerve, though? Could Swerve win this match? Just hear me out. Could Swerve win this match? He gets the robe back for Nana. And then somewhere in the future, they have one. Maybe Swerve then wins the title. And then we have another rematch with Swerve and Ricochet for the title. And then Nana turns on Swerve and helps Ricochet win the world title. As opposed to him turning on Sunday, because then Ricochet's up two wins to none over Swerve. Now he's got his manager. So Swerve, I'm trying to think of how you could do it that way, maybe. But I do think Nana turning on Swerve is a possibility. I think it's a strong possibility. We spent some time on it last week talking about it. And we have people in the chat still thinking that Moxley is just going to win straight up on Sunday, and it's not going to matter. We're going to keep going with the Death Riders.
God
I think obviously that is a possibility. I think it would look bad for AEW if we continued the Death Riders things. Even though I said at the beginning of the show,
in
like
the
I am
current
more,
iteration that
yes, I am more interested in the Death Riders these last 2 to 3 weeks than I have been for the prior 2 months. But I feel like you just said, I feel like if we just continue to just go the path that we're going with the Death Riders as they are, that would tell me that AEW, like that would just be like, read the room, dude. Read the room.
Yeah,
And sometimes you got to read the room.
Just an awful. You want to talk about anticlimactic ending?
Oh, that 100%
to Revolution.
100%. I agree with you. That would be also
anticlimactic.
That would be an anticlimactic thing.
Just like the last 3 straight pay-per-views.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to go the route with you're going to make it seem like Christian is cashing in, he needs to cash in. That's just how I feel. So I don't think Darby's going to look. Don't get me wrong. I would love Darby to be there, but I don't think Darby's going to be there, man. I don't think Darby's going to be there, and I don't think you can wait around for Darby anymore. No. I think Kate said 40% of people that climb Mount Everest don't make it down alive. That's not trying to be morbid, but that is the statistic. 40%.
But that's still like the untrained one, though, isn't it? Like the people who just do it because they're idiots.
Either way. I also think it's very naive for us wrestling fans to think that Darby's going to climb Mount Everest and then he's just going to be back on Dynamite the next week. Like it's probably going to take some time for him to recover from climbing Mount Everest.
That's why I said after Double or Nothing, because April, he's doing the climb in April. But he probably wouldn't be back again until like
the end of May. So Double or Nothing would make sense. But yeah, I don't think like Darby, if he does it and he succeeds, which we all hope he does, I don't think he's going to be strolling down the mountain on a Sunday and be like, all right, got to be on Dynamite on Wednesday. I don't think that's happening.
Although he is an absolute nut.
He is a psychopath. Yes, he's a psycho. He could. But I just don't think that's going to happen. Like, I think he's going to need some recovery time as well. Because I assume that if you do make it, I assume that takes a toll out of you either way. So that's just an assumption. I will never know because I'm not a crazy person who wants to climb Mount Everest. But it is what it is. And I definitely would die. I would die before you even get to the point where people normally die. I would die on my way to death, if that makes sense. But anyway, that is Revolution. Again, when you look at this card, there are 9 main card matches, and like 6 of them are dynamite, man. Like 6 of them are just Takeshita Omega, Toni and Mariah, Swerve and Ricochet, MJF and Hangman, Ospreay and Fletcher, Okada and Brody King, Mercedes and Momo.
It's a packed show.
That is like match quality is going to be off the friggin' charts, man. It should be really good.
Most of the matches have really good stories behind them.
Yes, and they have stories behind them. It's really good. It's really, really good. It should be a great show, and hopefully we get a good little angle, a good little storyline coming out of it. If Christian does cash in,
the cat, the elephant in the room here is that nothing is beating what happened last Saturday.
No, nothing can. Nothing can.
It's John Cena turning heel for the first time for 20 plus years is a moment that will truly overshadow Revolution over a week later. It is what it is at this point. But they, for their credit, for AEW's credit, are putting on a monster show with a lot of really, really, really fun matches that I can't wait to see the results of.
Yeah.
And to see where AEW goes from there. So it's there's a little bit of a lull this week because of the crazy thing that happened on Saturday. But I'm excited for Revolution. I think it's going to be
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun,
It's going to be terrific.
and um, we'll see. Again, the only reason why I'd be okay with Moxley and Cope main eventing is because they finally do away with the Death Riders, or there's a new iteration of the a new person, Josh Alexander, Jack Perry,
Mhm.
of in the event that Moxley wins. That's the only way Moxley should be winning is because of a new person being introduced to the Death Riders.
Yep.
If he just wins clean and the show is over, you are gonna get a rant from me on Thursday.
Yeah. I don't know that. I don't think that'll go over well. I don't think that'll go over well. So, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of ways they can go. There's a lot of ways they can go. But speaking of going, me and Drew got to get going out of here for the day. So Revolution should be excellent. I'm excited to talk about it next Thursday with you guys. But we'll be here on Tuesday talking WWE as well, as we are on the road to WrestleMania and things like that. Yeah, we didn't even mention, I know you had mentioned it, but Big Boom AJ is in the pre-show. So that should be fun. That should be fun. They didn't say the Rizzler's going to be there though, so lame. But it is what it is.
Well, he injured his hand when he rang the bell. So.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ridiculous. Drew, let the people know where they can find you, what you got coming up the rest of this week before they see us lovely faces again on Tuesday. Let the people know what you got coming up.
Well, you will also. That's not the next time you're going to be seeing our faces. You're going to be seeing our faces after Revolution.
Well, that is true. I don't have we
We're going to
announced that?
talk about this now too.
Yeah.
After Revolution, there will be a Love Wrestling reacts to Revolution.
That is true.
Show,
that is true.
Where myself and JPJ
and maybe some others
will be talking about the immediate happenings, which we will then cover, quickly again for firmly AEW next Thursday, and then get into Dynamite and the fallout from Revolution. So join us for that. That's going to be right after Revolution airs on Love Wrestling's post show.
Yes. So that'll be happening on Sunday night. Tony, for the love of God, it's a Sunday night. It's a Sunday night.
I will be also doing a watch along with Revolution at the round table. Sinner will also be involved in that, unfortunately. And it'll be fun. You could join us over there in all our craziness.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that Sunday right after the show. Over on the Love, right here on this channel, the Love Wrestling YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and all that fun stuff. It'll be me and Drew. There might even be a few more of us that pop in and want to talk about it, but we'll be doing that. You can find me tonight, 8 p.m. right here with Pluggo. We have a big guest this evening, which I'm excited for. Aaron Bernard from Screen Rant will be joining us tonight for a little bit. We'll talk some WWE with him. We're obviously going to preview Revolution as well and do all the fun stuff that we normally do on Beards. And then you can find me and Drew here. You're always catching strays Sunday Center. Drew gives you the strays all the time. You can find me and Drew here every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. You can find me on Body Slam after Monday Night Raw every Monday on the Raw Dogs post show over there. And on Mondays and Tuesdays, if you watch WWE programming, you want to watch with some friends, you can head on over to my personal Twitch account, JPJ Loves Gaming. We do watch-alongs for Raw and NXT. So we have some fun over there. Also, tomorrow, Drew, WWE 2K25 comes out.
Right.
That's coming out tomorrow. So if you follow me over on the Twitch, we'll be diving into that tomorrow and playing that for the next week or so, a lot. So check us out there. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody, even if you don't agree with my great takes. I still appreciate you all being here, even though you're all wrong. But you'll find out that you're wrong soon enough when whatever I say happens on the screen. And then I come into here and I just go, what's the Roxanne Perez? She does this.
I have no idea.
I think that's what she does when she walks the ring. Like, come on, give me the hate. That's gonna be me. That's gonna be me. But thank you for
I'll
all.
I'll be giving you some hate on Sunday if Moxley retains.
Well, but I don't want that to happen either. I just think that it should be a bigger thing than Nick Wayne being the reason he doesn't, or like that Christian does. That's all. But regardless of that, excited to talk about Revolution on Sunday after right here on Love Wrestling. So tune in for that. Drew and I will see you next week. I'll see you later tonight for Between Two Beards. You all better be here. If you're not, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. What else do you have to do on a Thursday? Beards is the best thing on any form of entertainment.
You don't show up, and this guy's going to be like,
yeah, that's right. You don't want to see what happens. I'll call John right now. He lives the town over. I don't care. I'll call him. But anyway, Drew and I are getting out of here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for participating in the chat. Appreciate all of you people. We will see you real soon. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. You know the drill. Peace out.